Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kyra, and here on my channel, we're all about real makeup for real life and real people. Today's video, we are taking a little detour from ranking the different categories in my collection. I will have that playlist linked down below for you, and this will be included in that playlist, but today we're going to rank my top 10 favorite palettes for spring. But before we get into that, if you are new, I want to say welcome to my channel. I hope you'll consider subscribing before you leave, and then you'll be able to find my videos more easily on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and some Sundays when I upload. So, I wanted to bring to you some of my favorite spring palettes. I know you can get all of these for sure, except for one I'm not for sure about, but I thought, wouldn't it be fun to just rank my top 10 palettes while we're at it? So that's what we're going to do today. I love all of these palettes for spring. Each of them brings a little bit something different to my collection in terms of springtime makeup, so let's get into it. Coming in at number 10, this is a palette that I learned to love this year, and I do really like this palette. I think it's perfect for springtime, and that is the Viseart Paris Edit palette. I just think this is a beautiful, romantic, soft springtime color story. I also think that this is great for someone who wants to amp things up or play with a little bit of color for spring, but without detouring too much from the neutral side of things. I absolutely adore this peach in here, as well as this purpley like orchid shade. I love this little denim blue shade. It's a really cool addition to this color story, and it looks really cool with this sort of pinky purple shimmer sort of layered over the top of it. Or you can go in with this shade up here, which looks cream, but it is more like a white gold shade, if you will. So there's just a lot of fun to be had in this palette, and I'm really looking forward to diving back into it for spring. Coming in at number 9 is the one palette I'm not for sure if it's still available. It is the Sephora PRO Editorial 2.0. This palette is super fun. It's the biggest palette that I'll be talking about today, and this is fun for pretty much any time of year because there's so much versatility in here. But I just love this palette for spring. You've got your purples, you've got some coral in here, you've got turquoise and green to play with, as well as all of these more neutral tones which are in the top row. And there's quite a few duochromes in here, which I think is quite cool and interesting for Sephora. This is stunning. I love the performance of this palette. I think if you picked out any of the Sephora Pro palettes, you would probably be happy with the formulas. And this palette makes me want to try more Sephora Pro palettes because I do really like this formula. I need a haircut so bad, so my hair looks like hot garbage right now. Coming in at number 8, a huge detour from the gigantic Sephora palette is this e.l.f. bite-size eyeshadow in the shade Rosewater. I adore this little quad. I absolutely love this lightest shimmer right here. It is just stunning. It just does something on top of the lids. It's very reflective and eye-catching, but it's thin, so you can easily lay it over this dusty rose matte. You could put it over this more, what would I call you? More of a rosy shimmer, or even if you want to go smoky, you could use a combination of this matte with the lighter matte and put it over. It's just a really beautiful shade. It has me reaching for this palette consistently for lid shades, especially on days where I'm not filming and to keep things a little bit more simple. but this is a great one. I really enjoy the e.l.f. Bite Size. Number 7 is an oldie but a goodie, and for whatever reason, this is the first palette that comes to mind when I think of my favorite spring palettes. It's not first because there are a lot of other palettes that I love for spring, but it is a spring staple for me, and that is the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. I just love this for spring. And there's a lot of depth over here, and I think that's cool. I don't mind depth for spring. I love a nice anchored, deep outer corner to help the look sort of come together. But I also love this half of the palette for spring. I love, love, love the shade Orange Soda. It is the shade that made me want to use this palette today. Imagine the shirt. But I also love the shimmers in here. I think they're fantastic. I was so glad that they included Tempera, which is also in the Modern Renaissance palette, as well as you have a Dusty Rose. You have a nice pink shimmer, as well as a more burgundy shimmer called Sultry. It's kind of like burgundy brown. So, this is just absolutely 100% a spring staple for me. It's one of my favorite spring neutral palettes, and I highly recommend it. Number 6 is very expensive, but it is a beautiful palette for spring, and that is what I thought about in terms of purchasing this palette. I thought, ooh, that would be perfect for spring, and it is the Natasha Denona TrioChrome palette. I haven't used this very much on my channel, but I do use it from time to time in my everyday makeup, and I just love these tones for spring. You have a real bright grassy situation, but you can also keep it muted. This whole green row right here just screams spring to me. You have these beautiful pinky purples, the more warm tone purples in the center row, and I really seem to gravitate more towards warmer purples, i.e. purples that have more red than blue in them during the springtime. And then of course you have this row right here, this peach. Oh, I definitely love the TrioChrome. I know that this one didn't do all that well in terms of on YouTube. I hardly saw any content go up with that palette, but I do think it's beautiful for spring, and it is still available if you're looking for something like that. I personally, other than the beautiful TrioChromes that are in the palette, I can link the video that I did reviewing this palette and creating 3 looks, but it was the mattes that caused me to buy the TrioChrome. Let me know down below if you would like to see another video using the TrioChrome palette. I'm also thinking about in May shopping my stash either for all of my ABH palettes or all of my Natasha Denona palettes. And then I also would probably split up the ABH palettes between these, like, what are they, 14 pan palettes? Yes. And my Norvina collection palettes. So let me know what you guys think about that. I'm always looking to create content that you want to watch. Coming in at number 5 is another palette that I'm excited to dig out and dust off for spring, and it is the Urban Decay Naked UltraViolet palette. I love purple eyeshadow, even though I don't personally love purple. Like, I have one purple shirt and like one lavender sweater, so purple goes with any eye color, so it is a great staple in anyone's collection if you're interested in color in any way. But I also love that there's this neutral half that leans a little bit peachy, and I love peach and purple together for some reason. So I did do multiple looks with this, and I can link that video for you as well. But this is such a fun palette, and I just can't wait to play with this some more this spring. Also love this little pop of aqua, but this is actually a little bit sheer, and so it looks really cool layered over some of the purple shadows, and you know, it's kind of duochrome, so whew, cannot wait. I'm so excited to play with this one. Number 4 is finally the palette that I am wearing on my eyes today. It's still available, it's cheap, and I love it. And that is the Blush Crush palette from ColourPop. The reason I like this so much is because of the tones. First of all, you have these warm purples in here like I was talking about, more red than blue in these purples. And I also love, like, they have this more edging on coral pink, very warm. You've got some peach in here, which obviously I love. And, you know, you have blending shades, highlighting shades. This Super Shock shadow, which I have a little bit of on my eyes today, is just such a pretty little topper. It's got like pink and peach and you really can't see it. It's right here. It's just a really cool shade. I love the addition of the Super Shock shadows in these palettes. I just love it because I love the Super Shock formula, but I'm not willing to have thousands of those little pots rolling around in my collection. I have 2 and that's really all I want. So I love that they are including those in some of their palettes. There are, however, 1, 2, 3 sequin shades. 1, 2, and 3 sequin shades, which are the mattes that have that little bit of glitter in them. I absolutely adore this shade right here, which is called Blossom Up. It's a really pretty, like, duochrome, like, kind of like this shade, but with a peachy reflex, peachy and gold, and I have that over a lot of my lid today. In fact, I used all of the shades in the palette today except for the 3 sequin shades. It's something that's like very springy, very feminine, but without being boring, because I love this like purpley pinky shade, especially in the crease, and I just think it is stunning. Number 3 is the Natasha Denona Mini Retro Palette. Love this. Still hoping on a prayer for a midi size retro palette. I hope Natasha Denona is hearing our cries for this because I know I'm not the only one. And of course, the best shade in here is this one right here, which is Galaxia. Oh, I just love this. It's soft. It's softer pinks. It's like dusty greens. You know, this green leans a little bit silver, so it softens the color a little bit, and I just really love this palette, and I think it's perfect for spring. Number 2, I'll be curious if any of you guessed that this palette would be in this roundup. It is my ABH Carli Bybel palette. I love this palette, and to me, I look at this and I see spring. I also see a little summer in here, but I love these shades for spring. You have you have a beautiful duochrome, you have a nice glitter in here, some more glittery shades in this corner. Absolutely love the inclusion of another dusty mauvey rosy shade. This gold right here, which is called Moo, is my favorite gold in my collection. It is absolutely stunning. I always get a ton of compliments from you guys when I wear this on camera, and I love it. And I'm not a gold eyeshadow lover, so that's really saying a lot. Love this little peachy number right here. It's just beautiful. It could be every day. It can be a little fun like what I have on today, and you could really push the limits and create some more interesting looks if you want as well. And I actually really want to combine this one with my Soft Glam palette, so let me know if you would want to see a look with that. And then the numero uno, the big kahuna, the number 1 palette for spring for me is the Sydney Grace Enduring Love palette. I have this in the lighter shades. They do have a darker version of this same palette, and I think that is fantastic. I love this palette really for any season, but there's a lot of rosiness going on, especially in the mattes, and there are some beautiful light highlighting kind of shades in here that I love for a lid shade. Again, this is kind of like a staple neutral palette for me for any season, but I'm super excited to be using it in spring again, and I just love this. I wanted to go warmer today and just have a nice fresh spring look. I think the formula in here is absolutely outstanding, every bit as good as her single shadow formula, which you guys probably know that I love. I'm using all of my Sydney Grace singles for the month of April for Shop My Stash. So I'm just so excited about this palette. I just cannot wait to use it and use it and use it. So that, my friends, is a wrap. I really enjoyed rounding up my top 10 palettes for spring and then really seeing how I felt about them by ranking them from least to greatest. If you can even say that, because they're all favorites. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's any other categories you would like to see me rank specifically for top products for spring. I'd be happy to do that for you guys. As always, leave your beautiful questions, comments, and requests down in the comments below. I hope you will consider subscribing if you've not done that already. And I thank you so much for spending part of your precious time with me here today watching this video. If you did like this video, a thumbs up always really helps me out here on the platform. And I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful spring eyeshadow makeup days. And I'll see you in my next video real soon.